life that comes to mind when I think about the situation that we are in. The situation we are in is that we are in a nation that has far more guns per capita than any other nation, 265 million of them, and a gun homicide rate 25 times higher than that of any other high-income nation. We are in a nation of frequent school shootings so that our children no longer feel safe in school.
That's right.
A nation that spends 3 times as much on its military than on all of its investment in domestic programs for education, jobs, housing, and other basic human needs. A nation that has troops and bombers fighting in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, drones and planes bombing in Libya, Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen, and U.S. Special Forces deployed in 149 countries around the world. We are part of a nation that started the nuclear arms race by dropping atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and continues to threaten the world with their use. We are part of a nation that clearly believes in violence and military dominance as essential to our way of life. The story that comes to mind as I think about this happened toward the end of Jesus' life on earth. He had spent the previous few years teaching that living life as God intends involves recognizing the inherent worth of every single person.
That's right.
It involves seeking justice for the most vulnerable.
Yes.
It involves being peacemakers and in fact loving our enemies.
Yes.
Later he would tell Peter to put away his sword when he drew it in self-defense and in defense of the innocent, saying those who live by the sword die by the sword. But on this day, as he approached Jerusalem overlooking the city, he wept over it, saying, "If you, even you, had only recognized on this day the things that make for peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes." And then he went on to bemoan what seemed to be inevitable, that they would continue to choose the ways of violence and be militarily crushed. And indeed, that is what happened in the fall of Jerusalem in 70 CE. In some ways, we as a nation stand at a similar place. This nation's ways of violence are crushing the life out of too many. In 2016, 38,658 people died of gun deaths, 2,400 of them children under 18 in this country. Few other nations allow civilian ownership of machine guns, only places like Somalia and Yemen. But there are AR-15s and other semi-automatic weapons used frequently in mass shootings in schools and other public places. Increasing and outrageous military spending is consuming far too much of our resources, so little is left for domestic programs, further crushing the poor. Such military spending is driving up the federal deficit such that it will leave a crushing economic burden on future generations. And it leaves little to fight climate change, which may eventually crush all of humanity. And so I believe that viewing our situation, the Spirit of God that was in Jesus still weeps for the children, weeps for the impoverished, weeps for the victims of war, for the refugees, weeps for the veterans who have been used and now carry the emotional and physical burdens of the horror of war. We are here this afternoon to protest these violent ways. It is immoral to allow easy access to guns as an individual right at the cost of over 38,000 deaths a year. It is immoral that we tolerate school shooting after school shooting and do nothing of significance to stop this. These are our children, and this must change. It is immoral to destroy cities and countries and national resources for this violence.
Yes. Yes.
It will never be morally justifiable to use nuclear weapons. They are weapons of mass destruction. They should be in no country's arsenal, but we are continuing to upgrade them. These things are deeply wrong and must change.
Yes.
And so we are here this afternoon to call for the things that make for peace. We call for a ban on assault, semi-assault, rifles, and easy access to firearms. We call for an end to military aggression and warmongering. And we call for a stop to any increase in military spending and call for moving that money toward bettering our communities. It is only because we have hope that things can be different that we rally here today.
That's right.
It is hope that gives us energy to work for change. It is hope nourished by our faith in God's presence still working in the world.
Amen. That's right.
May our hope be grounded in visions of peace, such as that of the ancient prophet Isaiah, who dreamed of a time where nation shall not lift up weapons against nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore. A time when swords are beat into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks, and weapons of war will be transformed into instruments of peace and the betterment of humanity. Where people will no longer hurt or destroy in all of God's sacred earth. May we be granted strength and courage to make more real such dreams of peace, justice, and well-being for all within our world.
Yes.